My guest today is someone who lived through addiction, someone who wake up every day not knowing if they would make it to the next. And at one point, he probably didn't recognize the man staring back in the mirror. And somehow, he made a way out. Not through luck, not through overnight success, but through pain, discipline, and a decision to fight for his life, literally. This is a conversation for anyone who feels stuck, for anyone who thinks the past disqualifies them from the future, and for anybody who needs proof that change is possible, even when it feels impossible. This isn't a perfect story, but this is a real one. Yo, can you introduce yourself?
Yo, what's going on, man? Thank you. My name is Luke Kurtis, but everyone calls me Certified now.
Let's
That's
go.
It's my wrestling gimmick. I'm from Miami, Florida, 32 years old, and yeah, I think what you said is true. I've been through a lot. I definitely didn't think I would be where I am today, and it's been a journey.
Bro, it's such a blessing to get you on this podcast today, man. First off, again, I met Luke at the Power Slap Combine. We were both recruited. So honestly, how did you get the recruiting from Power Slap?
So Sin Bodhi is the guy, as far as Power Slap concerned.
Right.
And through wrestling, obviously they were bringing in a lot of wrestlers into Power Slap because they wanted some characters. Figured wrestlers were tough guys. Some of them are, apparently. And so I went to the first event to support, actually. I went to support Stunt Marshall and Hollywood, Haley J. Those are good friends of mine. But I was really there to see them. And yeah, that first slap when Stunt dropped, dude, it lit something in me. I looked over at my wife and I said, "Oh, I got to do this."
Man, he's really showing out. So yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you how you were recruited, and then what your combat sports. I mean, a lot of people that are in Power Slap seems like they're professional wrestlers, ex-MMA fighters, boxers, some kind of combat background. So again, you're a professional wrestler, right?
Yeah, I'm a pro wrestler. I actually grew up wrestling.
Folk
Amateur,
style, right?
obviously. Yeah, folk style, freestyle, Greco-Roman. I
Okay.
wrestled almost my whole life. My mom put me in wrestling when I was very young. And yeah, it was a great journey, man. I feel like wrestling really taught me who I am. It built a lot of things in me that have now come back around today, like a lot of strong foundations. And then when I got out of high school, I actually did some MMA. I used to train at American Top Team.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, I used to train with Yoel Romero.
Damn.
When he just came over from Bellator. He had signed his UFC contract, and I would spar with him, wrestle with him. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And then eventually I had gotten married for the first time. I got married to someone that was 10 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
So you said ATT, American Top Team. Are you from Florida originally?
yeah, I'm from Miami.
Okay. So you wrestled when you were a kid and mostly the Miami circuit, or were you
I
traveling?
wrestled all over the United States. Yeah, mostly in Florida. Florida's known for having good wrestlers. But the really good wrestlers come like up north where it's colder, because you see in South Florida, there's a lot of good athletes. The NFL, I played
Right.
football too. Like 33% of the NFL is from the Tri-County area, Dade County, Broward, and West Palm.
Right.
So football's a big culture down there. But when you go up north, a lot of places it's so cold, guys are wrestling year round. But growing up, we were playing multiple sports. We'd have wrestling season, football season, basketball season. So you play multiple sports throughout the year, but then you'd wrestle these kids up north, and they were on a different level
Right.
because they were just year round wrestle. That's all they did. So I would travel out of school for, my mom put me in wrestling very young. I started at a YMCA program, and it was great. I had a lot of great coaches, and we would travel all around the United States doing tournaments. I've been to Wisconsin when I was young, Georgia, St. Louis. I've been all over, man, just wrestling as a kid before I even got out of high school.
No, I mean, obviously, coming from that kind of background, it's a lot of discipline, it's a lot of training, it's a lot that goes into it. I mean, you have to stay disciplined in order to, keep competing at that kind of level. I know you have a crazy story to tell. Where did you fall off? I know you were battling some addictions. Like, when did this all happen? Like,
Yeah, so basically I got out of high school, and I graduated from high school a year early. It's not necessarily because I was smart, but it was because I wanted to be done. So I went to school in the summer. And I think a big part of it is it was my identity. My identity was off at that time in my life. So I had gotten married to somebody that was 10 years older than me. She was my boss at a Levi's where I worked. It was
Okay.
like one of my first jobs. And I had started a life with this woman, and, there was something just wasn't right with me, and that situation. So I was looking at what I was going to do next in life. Money had become an issue, so I couldn't really do the MMA thing anymore, which has always been my passion. I grew up a wrestler. You know, I'm a professional wrestler today. I couldn't really do my passion anymore, and I went into what my family had previously done. My father and my grandfather, they're all AC guys in Florida.
Okay.
Commercial air conditioning. They were all in the union, so I went to the union to become a pipe fitter and a welder. So I was in the union as a welder. That's what I did for work, and it was a really tough job, and you know, just not being happy with who I was at the time is what turned me to drinking. Was heavy. It was the culture. A lot of people drink there. So then I, in turn, started to drink as well. And then I would go to bars after work. And then, you know, then I met cocaine.
Right.
And I'm in Miami. Now I'm making pretty good money. I'm doing this welding, air conditioning. You know, I'm making over 60 grand a year. At that time, that was good for me, you know. Right. So I'm making this good money. I'm doing coke every single day. Jeez. And, you know, that had become my outlet and my identity. I had become somebody that enjoyed who that was when I was doing that drug. So I spent the next 6 years of my life doing that. You wouldn't even recognize me. Like, if you saw pictures of me before, I had hair that was like super long down to my ass almost. My beard was like down to my stomach. And coming into the bar, like to hang out with my boys, snorting coke in the bathroom, drinking, just having a good time, bro. We would even like go to during lunch and drink. And sometimes we would stay at the bar till nighttime, you know, just stay there and chill and party and get a bag and hang out. And it wasn't until I met my wife now, you know, she was a bartender at one of those bars that I went to. My best friend, who was actually the best man at my wedding, his name is George. He's a Cuban from Miami. He did 9 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. For stealing stuff. Don't steal stuff. So George did 9 years, and he had also just started this apprenticeship program with me in the union, Local 725, where we were welders. And you know, George had connections. He's Cuban, you know, he's from Miami. And I asked him one day, like, you know, where we could get some coke. And he said, absolutely. I know we can get some really good stuff. So, you know, me and George went on a long journey together, right? We both went from married to divorced. Now we're both married again. I was just at his wedding. He was at mine the year before. He was my best man.
If I could just pivot back to the point where the height of addiction, when did you realize, like, whoa, like something's got to change or I'm going to die?
So really, when I had met my wife, now she was a bartender at the bar that we would go to and drink. She wanted more for her life. She's from New York. She has a hustler's mentality. She was already doing music videos. She was in like Mia with Bad Bunny and Drake. Oh, wow. She's been in a bunch of music videos. Chris Brown, Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, like list goes on. So she always wanted to do modeling, acting, wanted more for her life. And, you know, I was still hanging on, right? I wanted to party and I wanted to drink. I didn't want more. Right. I'd already accepted that this is who I was. So it was time to stop. But I had many moments where, you know, I would do it and I wouldn't want to do it. I would feel like this is horrible. But really, it's kind of crazy. What really got me sober and started like everything was one day I ate mushrooms. And it sounds crazy, but I ate these mushrooms and I tripped really hard. Really hard. I'll never forget it. And I was in the bathroom throwing up, trying to throw up, dry heaving. And when I finally threw up, I just threw up one of the stems of the mushroom, just a tiny little stem. And right then in that moment, I knew like that was my addiction. Like it's sitting and floating in the toilet water, as crazy as that sounds. And I walked out of the room and I told my wife, you know, she was my girlfriend at the time. I told her like, I don't want to do drugs anymore. So, you know, in that moment, I knew that I didn't want this for my life anymore. That's when my identity changed. Once your identity changes, the addiction can't latch on to that anymore. So that's how I was able to move on almost cold turkey from somebody who did coke every day for 6 years, you know, to the point where now I haven't done it in about 6 years.
You know, mushrooms are a weird one. It seems like it's a lot eye openers for people, right? Like some people will take it and like they'll see God and then like they're on the right path, and then some people will just it goes the opposite direction. Like just want to get into psychoactives a little bit more.
And me, I was just doing it because I would do anything at that time.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, mushrooms, like that sounds fun. I didn't even know the correct dosing. I probably ate too much. And as a result of that, it really did rewire my brain, because what it did was it removed the inner lawyer inside of me that says like, you are this, you are that. It brings down the guard to where my brain could be rewritten at this point, and I can now like actually move on and become who I was supposed to be. And that's when I started taking a different approach on life, and I realized that one addiction turns into another one, and it became bettering myself, getting better at whatever it is that I'm doing. So then every day from that point forward, I've been working on getting a little bit better every single day, no matter how it is. That is my new addiction, and that's driven me to where I'm at today.
That's super powerful, man. Let's talk about the man in the mirror. Well, I'm sure there was a point where you were standing in the mirror and you're like, what am I doing with my life? Like you just see yourself from a different view. And I've been in this situation before, whether I've been drinking or like smoking crazy, and I'm just looking in the mirror like, yo, I need to get a hold of myself. Like, is there a moment, or like, can you tell me a little bit about that self-reflection?
So my mom raised me to be very confident. If you meet my mom, she's got high energy. My mom tells it exactly how it is. My mom raised me to be the best that I could be. My mom told me that I was beautiful, that I was smart, that I was going to be somebody in life. And I think that instilled with me throughout my whole life, even to my detriment when I was addicted to drugs. Because I used to always say, I'm enjoying my life. I have no reason not to do this. If somebody gave me a reason, I wouldn't do it. I had already accepted that this was ingrained into who I am and that it wasn't affecting me negatively. So the man in the mirror moment really came after that, when now I was no longer a welder. I had to rebuild my identity through action. I had to decide who I was going to be next. I didn't have a plan for my life. It was just thrust into professional wrestling. Seemed like another hobby. And then that ended up taking action and going to that first wrestling training ended up setting the tone for what my life is now. And that was 5 years ago.
Can you tell me about like some of the wrestlers you might have trained with?
I might have what?
That you've trained with before, like professional wrestlers.
Oh, I've trained with so many great wrestlers. I trained with Gangrel. I trained with Al Snow. I wrestled at OVW in Kentucky. I ended up moving from Miami to Kentucky. And we ended up being on a Netflix show. It's called sick. Wrestlers. I proposed to my wife on that show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we were wrestling in Kentucky. We ended up being on this Netflix show. I wrestled for a historic program called OVW. That's where John Cena trained. That's where Brock Lesnar trained. Randy Orton, Batista. All these guys came out of OVW and over 100 other WWE wrestlers. So we moved out to Kentucky because I wanted more. My wife was very beautiful, so she was already getting flown out right away when we started to do signings, sell 8x10s. Wrestling fans love autograph. And a lot of people, they want to see beautiful women, so they get the autograph, they meet them. She was already getting that. Me, I was starting fresh in this. I had nothing but my own will to have to drive and survive in the wrestling business. And there's wrestlers everywhere. It seems like a small business, but it's massive. There's millions of wrestlers.
Yeah, exactly. And I've joining the Power Slap or going to the Power Slap Combine, seeing like all the other professional wrestlers, like, dude, it's a grind. Like, it's not easy. It's not overnight. It's not like it can happen. Honestly, especially for male wrestlers, I feel like it's actually more difficult.
Absolutely.
Like, there's a million guys that want to be wrestlers. How have you been climbing the rankings? Where did you start out professional wrestling? Were you doing I know some of the guys are doing like circus stuff. Some of the guys are doing like festival like that. Like, how did you start out wrestling?
Yeah, so we didn't know anything about wrestling when we started. We weren't like a lot of guys get into it because they had this great imagination of, I'm going to be the next WWE champion. My wife and I, we were just looking for something to do. So we were like, she had watched Total Divas, on E.
Yeah.
And she was like, that seems fun. I want to be a pro wrestler. So we started. And bro, I didn't know anything about independent wrestling. That's everything outside of WWE, AEW, like television wrestling, right. The independent circuit. I didn't know anything about it. We go to training, and like a few weeks in, I'm thinking like, when do I go to the Performance Center where they train WWE guys? And then you find out, it doesn't really work like that. So the way I describe it to people is wrestling is like being in a band. You know, you start out, if you're in a band, you start out playing small coffee houses or small venues until hopefully one day you get signed to a label, you get the big deal, you get to tour the world. We start out playing in these small venues for smaller crowds and then hope that one day you get to the WWE or AEW. That's generally the goal of most professional wrestlers.
Now, what are your goals right now? So right now, tell us about the organization you're in. Are you playing a heel character?
Yeah, I've pretty much been a heel my entire career. And wrestling, they look at you, and if you're a good-looking guy, they automatically make you the bad guy.
Okay.
Because you're less relatable to fans. Because they look at you, and they're like, oh, well, like, I'm not like him. You know, the good guy is usually the guy that looks the most like the fans.
Right.
They usually love him. So I'm usually always the bad guy out here. Same thing, FSW is where I wrestle. It's called Future Stars of Wrestling. It's a great promotion in Vegas, local independent promotion. But we do great shows. We just did the Luxor HyperX Arena like last Saturday.
Yeah, I think I seen the clip on your Instagram, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick. The whole setup they had. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty much. So is that like a farm? I guess because you know, the MLB has like farm teams. Is that like the next step would be like WWE next, or where do you go from there?
So, you know, what they're doing right now is it's called WWE ID. The ID,
Okay.
a lot of guys on the independent with a hope, or the chance they can go to NXT. NXT is the developmental brand for WWE. So that's the proving ground. They probably have 250 guys in there right now that aren't on your WWE TV screen, just training for their opportunity. So that's how competitive wrestling is. So me, like, I look at it as, you know, what you get will never make you happy. But who you become when you push through the hardships, that's going to bring you complete happiness, something you can't compare. So it's always been about the journey. If I do anything else in my life right now, if I go act, if I do anything, I can show you one clip from me wrestling and you will say that guy is a professional wrestler. So I already made it. That mindset shift has been one of the biggest things for me, because really the goal in wrestling is to do it as long as you can without it making you crazy. Bro, there's so many wrestlers. All these guys want to go to WWE. They all want that big money.
Right.
But that's not guaranteed. And most likely, that's not going to happen. But there is still a role to be played. I still do have a role in this. I'm somebody that now is a guide for the younger guys in wrestling. I'm somebody that can have good matches. I can entertain the fans, because that's what wrestling is at the end of the day, bro. It's entertaining the fans. That's what gets lost the most. People want to do cool stuff, and cool stuff is great. That's entertainment too. But really at the root of it is when somebody pays money to come to the HyperX Arena to watch Future Stars of Wrestling, they know that when I step in the ring, they're going to get an authentic experience. They're going to get the real me. They're going to get my emotions. Even though I'm playing a character, they're going to get the real emotions of Luke Kurtis through that character. All that anger, all that rage, all the hardship that I went through in my life,
Right.
that bleeds through into my wrestling. That's what they get to see. And that's what the character is, you know?
For a lot of people, being a professional wrestler kind of seems like, whoa, like I don't think I could do that. You know what I mean? Like it's you're putting yourself out there. Like you said, you're an entertainer. You have a high chance of getting hurt all the time. But like, how do you deal with the pressure? Do you still have like butterflies in your stomach every time you go out there, or like?
It comes and goes. I think they would be about appropriate to, you know, as you gain experience in something, you get more comfortable. And it's really just the more you know yourself and the more that you bring yourself to any type of performance, any area of life, the more that you bring yourself, the more confident you're going to be. So when I go out there, I really know who I am. I can't mess up. Nothing can happen in that ring that is going to be a mistake, because I'm going to entertain the people no matter what, because I just know how to do that now through practice and preparing my mind. So I'm mentally ready for it. And of course, I do things that get me ready for the moment. You know, before a match, I'm calm. I have a low resting heart rate. My resting heart rate is like a 45. So I'm chilling. You know, like high pressure situations, it's not like it goes through the roof like somebody else where their heart would beating so fast.
Right.
So I'm mostly calm. So I have to hype myself up, you know, so I change my state. I get into character. You know, I get myself locked in. I do push-ups. I do squats. I dopamine dump before I go out, so that way people can get the real me. that character that part of me that I'm trying to bring. I change my state into that character, and that's what I walk out through the curtain.
And how hard is that process? Because I do like acting on the side too, and like for sometimes like it takes me a while to get into character. Like, how are you dealing with that? Is it like an hour behind stage? Are you talking to yourself? Like, how do you go through that process of getting into character?
I think I start to envision it as I drive to the arena. It really starts to set in. Whatever the music is on, I'm someone that will listen to a song over and over.
Okay, same.
So if the right song comes on, I'm just like playing it over and over. So then I think I start to sink back into my mind and start to just kind of feel who that character is going to be and what I want to get through in the performance, what type of emotion I want to bring. And then once I'm there, I'm there.
Okay, so now we're getting somewhere because it seems like you're using visualization. You're visualizing, where you're going to be at. So you're in the drive. You're visualizing yourself. I'm assuming you used this before, right? When you were a kid, you probably visualized yourself being successful, or when you were in that, addiction mindset, like you probably like visualize yourself like, okay, I'm not going to be in this position anymore. How important is it to visualize your goals?
Well, it's extremely important that you visualize where you want to go and who you're going to be in life. And based on what your beliefs are and based on what your identity is, that's what's going to project in front of you in life. If you believe that the world is out to get you, if I come to give you a gift, what's your first thought going to be? Why is he doing this? Right? But if you're somebody that's open to acceptance and you're open and you're happy, you're going to be like, thank you so much for that gift. So whatever your belief system is that you've been telling yourself your whole life, I can't do it, I'm not good enough for this, subconsciously, your brain is projecting that in front of you all the time. It's working like an automatic mechanism that no matter what's happening, if you tell yourself you're a loser, every waking second of your life, your brain is going to be putting you in positions that a loser puts himself in. But if you believe you're a winner, if you believe that you can do it, if you believe that you're going to accomplish the goal to the point where you already accomplished it, then you will do it. Your brain can't differentiate between a real life experience and a deeply visual experience. You can trick your brain. If you think about who you want to be in 10 years, your greatest self, everything you want to accomplish, and you close your eyes and you think about this for 30 seconds, your brain will see this as real and you will make it happen. You will subconsciously push yourself to these goals because you've already felt like you've achieved the success. You can feel it right now. You can feel the success of your best self if you just put yourself in that position and you open your mind to it.
Bro, I'm getting goosebumps right now from you saying that because it's so true. I've been studying this for a long time and like the power of visualization. They did a study before, and what they did was they took Olympians and they put them on machines. They said, lay in a bed and we want you to simulate running this marathon. So in their head, they're going through the course. All the stats on the screen showed all their muscles were firing like they were actually competing. Then they actually, connected them to the machines and had them do the run themselves. And there's no difference. So it's like, you're right. The power of visualization, if you can visualize in your mind, if you can feel like you've already made it and you have that feeling, like describe that feeling. Like it's a weird energy, right? Like it's
the best feeling. It's the state changer at the end of the day. It's what happens before I walk out to go wrestle. I've now put myself in a position where that man walking through can accomplish anything. If you sit up and you channel the energy of your best self and you feel the power of that, that person can do anything. He can walk into a meeting. He can speak confidently to his boss. If they told you you were fired, you say, good, I don't care, because that's the best version of you. The slumped over version, the version that's in a bad state, a low state, is always going to have negative thoughts. He's never going to be in the right position to push you forward. So it's like physiology, right? A lot of people go, the mind controls the body, but the body is really what tells the mind is real. So before you do anything, you have to prepare your body to then be in a position for your mind to function properly.
Now, self-confidence is huge, man. You seem super confident. You come off super confident, which is an awesome thing. But for the people that don't have confidence, How can they start building that? What are some things that you did to build the confidence, or the way you carry yourself today? Like, what's some advice you can give the kids today, maybe watching you?
I think the first thing that you have to understand is that you can write your own story, right? You're the author of your own story, and you're also the only reader of your own story. They've done studies of this where they've taken an arena full of people and they'll put a group of people in with like a similar shirt on, something very wacky, and almost nobody will even notice it. And the people that do notice it, they don't care. So it's just basically saying that you're the one that's authoring your story and you're the only one that's reading it. So nobody else is really seeing things the way that you're seeing things. So whatever you're writing, and you can author your story tomorrow, you're writing it. So the next chapter for you and your self-identity and your self-image and your self-confidence is going to be what pushes you to your next goal. You will not get to your next goal if your self-confidence is low. You have to up your self-confidence. You have to look at the things in your life that you're good at and how you can accomplish them, and write down how you're going to get to these goals. You have to eliminate friction in your life. Things that are keeping you from achieving your habits are going to bring you the self-confidence. Progress is what makes people happy. Progress is what fulfills you in life. If you start making progress towards your goals, your self-image is going to improve. So you have to remove the bad habits that are keeping you from making progress, and then you optimize your life, you optimize your schedule, you build daily habits, you change your identity so that now you're somebody who does what's necessary to get where he has to go. And once you become that person, you really unlock your potential. And that's where your self-confidence comes from, because now you're doing all of these things that you didn't think were possible.
Right.
Because you've been telling yourself that your whole life. If you change your identity, you change your beliefs. If you change your beliefs, you can change your habits. And if you change your habits, that's how you transform your life.
Awesome, man. And we're all human. So are there days where you wake up and you're like, I'm not worthy of this? And if there are days like that, how do you flip the switch?
Yeah, 100%. I think what helps me a lot is I always try to start my day very grounded. The first thing I do is I get out of bed. There's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. I don't know if you ever heard of it,
No.
but it's basically you open your eyes, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you get up, right? But I get up with intention because I know where I'm going with my morning. I have my morning routine. I stretch for 10 minutes, I breathe, I jump around, I get in a good state, I activate my body, and then I plan out my day the night before. I spend an hour of my day writing out what I'm going to do the next day and time blocking it to remove decision fatigue in your life, because every small decision slowly fatigues on your brain, so you're more worn by the end of the day. So I get up, I already know exactly what I'm going to do. So to keep myself from being in that down, I instantly get up, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move around, change my state, and attack the first goal of the day. And that's how I stay on point. But of course, there's moments where I don't feel worthy, I don't feel good enough. And that's really what it's all about, is being able to control that and be more neutral. You have to be more neutral in life. You can't be so excited to do something because then it burns off. And you can't be too low because then you're depressed. You have to learn to be neutral in the moments and see exactly what's happening and know how to use your brain, the way it was designed.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's finding that middle ground seems to be, it's hard, bro. Like, I'm not going to lie. There's still days where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel worthy. Then I go back to thinking about like, dude, I did this. I start looking at all the things that I did accomplish, and it kind of kicks me back into gear. Based on what you're telling me, it sounds like you do a lot of planning. How important is it to plan?
It's super important to me. I mean, I feel like that's how all the greatest thinkers of history have gotten into a workflow.
How are you planning, and then how are you sticking to the plan?
So I'm writing everything down. I was taught what we write, we invite. Old school communication. So I write everything down. I time block it out about how I want to do it. And then I just do it. I've trained my brain that when it's time to go, it's time to go. That's what you got to learn in life, is how to condition your brain that whenever you say go, we go. Negotiating with yourself makes you weak.
Right. And then, okay, so going back to like professional wrestling and your addiction and stuff, in the past. What does professional wrestling give you, or what does your current career give you right now that maybe the addiction or like maybe the drug high didn't give you? Like, is there a high on life that you have now that you're like, I don't need that kind of things? Like, how does the comparisons work there?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. I haven't thought about that in a while. Addiction high is very self-centered. It's only focused on you. And a wrestling high and adrenaline high can probably be that same way too. But for me, it's the shared experience of all of us being there together. It's a moment in time, snapshotted. That's what a wrestling match is. It's a live moment that will never happen again. So we're all in this room together. We're all sharing the energy. I'm feeding off of their emotion and they're feeding off of mine. And I've met great people, kids, so many fans, like people that I love, and they still support me. You know, you have to build a cult-like following because they push you through the low times and they push you to the high spots.
Right.
So I still have so many people that, you know, have reached out to me all the time, and it's nothing but love. And they go through hard times too. So to be kind of an inspiration for people and, you know, make them see that they can be more that's the best feeling.
Bro, that's why I wanted to get you on here, bro. Because like I don't even know you, but you inspire me. Like when I met you at the Power Slap, and you know, I briefly talked to you, and you told me about like your journey a little bit, and then I started following you, and I'm like, damn, this dude's like legit. Like he's really doing the wrestling thing. Like it's so inspiring for me just to see people achieve their dreams, and like especially like people that have been in a down, like you know, in a bad spot. Because I've had so many ups and downs in my life. I've, you know, made millions of dollars selling real estate, lived in a high rise, lost it all. You know what I mean? Had to go back to working in a factory, got myself back, man. It's like a lot of ups and downs. So like to see your story and like to see it all in picture, like see like, you know what I mean, what you told me, then seeing you at the Power Slap Combine, and then seeing your videos of you wrestling, bro, that's so awesome. And I draw a lot of inspiration from you. This is a question I ask everybody. Somebody that's inspiring like you, where do you draw your inspiration from?
That's a great question.
Like, is another professional wrestlers? Are they? Because I've said this before. Like, athletes always inspire me. But who's the guy that you look up to? Who's a role model, or that was a role model for you? Was there a wrestler that took you under your wing that you're like, man, this dude's legit. I'm going to keep following what he says.
I've had a lot of those throughout my time in wrestling. I gain inspiration from a lot of places. I truly believe in osmosis. When you're entertained, you will become a better entertainer. So I like to take in concerts, musicians, other things that interest me. I feel like that makes me better at what I do. But I've definitely had some mentors along the way. Al Snow, who was in the WWE, and he runs OVW in Kentucky. He taught me pretty much everything I know about wrestling. And it's a little bit different than what a lot of other people do, because there's a lot of different ways to do it. It's flavors of ice cream. You might like vanilla, you might like strawberry. You know, I might not have your flavor. But Al's way of wrestling is psychology based, it's emotion based, and it's just about, I don't want to say what's right in wrestling, but really like the right way to do professional wrestling. And he definitely taught me a lot, and he's definitely why I am where I am today. And even though like when I left OVW, it wasn't necessarily like the most ideal of circumstances. Like it didn't end that way, but I always truly believe deep down that like Al is the type of guy that if he doesn't get you to go away, you'll be stuck where you're at forever. And this is a process of moving and traveling and evolving. And he was one of the biggest parts of my evolution for sure.
Now, was he somebody that you gravitated toward as a kid? I remember because you say Al Snow, I'm like, that name sounds familiar. Now I remember it's the guy with the mannequin.
The guy with the head.
Yes.
Head.
So that, yeah.
Everybody
so
wants head.
Right. So
Yes.
like, was he like as a kid watching professional wrestlers? Like I told you before, me and my brother, Stone Cold was our guy. Like Stone Cold, we hated The Rock because he was the heel guy.
Yeah.
And then we loved the Generation X. I thought I was X-Pac.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep, of
we were
course.
doing some crazy stuff. So like, who like around that time, the '90s era, like who was your favorite wrestler?
John Cena.
John Cena?
Yeah, I was a John Cena fan. My stepdad went to Ace Hardware, got me a chain with a master lock. I would wear it around the house. I was like a little wigger growing up.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I was definitely, that was a big part of my journey. I played football at a place called Florida City Park, and I was the only white boy on the field, you know? So I was inducted very early. And yeah, that was a part of my culture. I used to wear my pants off my ass, jewelry.
That's a
and-
Florida thing, huh?
I think so.
Like
yeah.
most of the island boys, they kind of,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they're lame, bro.
yeah. No, I got you. But
No, they're Miami kids. They're dope, bro.
And then what was that movie they had with James Franco? He played the Spring Breakers.
yes,
Yeah, so
yep,
like that character is like a real person. Like
It is,
that's,
bro.
Actually, I've actually never been to Miami. I've been to Orlando, but yeah, it seems like that culture is crazy. You know, it was the cocaine city, like, and then you know, it was probably normal for you at first, right? When you were doing the cocaine, it's like, dude, everybody's doing it, no big deal, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
So how's that culture today?
Even till the end, yeah, it's still like that, you know. Yeah, it was definitely me having to move out of that, and I think a lot of the times to make like a real change, sometimes you do need to change your environment,
Right.
and get out of that party atmosphere, the friends that are holding you down, and moving was great for me.
For words of advice, if there's somebody, I mean, I'm sure there's so many people out there right now that are battling addiction that want to change their life around and do something else. What are some words of advice? What are just the first steps somebody that's facing addiction can take so that they can pursue their dreams?
I think the first thing you have to do is be honest with yourself and understand that you do have an addiction. A lot of people don't think that they do, but you have to first understand that you do have an addiction. And I would challenge you to do that same thing that we did earlier, where you would close your eyes and imagine your best self. I would challenge you to close your eyes and imagine yourself 10 years from now, if nothing changed, and to feel the pain that you will be in 10 years from now. And your brain will not be able to recognize the difference, and you will feel that pain. And then maybe you can begin to seek help or find somebody who can help you make a change. But really, the change has to come from within. And you have to be willing to change. For people to change, they have to want to change.
Right.
It's very true. I was ready to change.
So let's get back to Power Slap, man. Obviously, we're all waiting for a call, right?
Yeah.
How are your nerves, bro? Like, how do you feel about that? Because I'm ready to compete right now. Yo, Sin, Dana, Frank, if you guys are listening right now, we're ready to go. We're waiting for that phone call. Tell us about Power Slap, man. What makes you want to do this?
So I think it's just the thrill of competition. I did MMA before. I got punched in the face by Yoel Romero. So, I mean, wrestling, you don't fully get to unleash. I think it would feel good to slap the shit out of somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy because I tell people, like, because I've done, train MMA. I grew up as a folk style wrestler, freestyle wrestler, did some boxing and stuff like that. And then, yeah, I mean, it's crazy when I tell people I am trying to do Power Slap. They're like, what? Like, it's a crazy thing, honestly. So have you been training for Power Slap? Are you still are you training on a daily basis for this?
Maybe not on a daily basis, but I train every day. But I have a pad on my wall in my garage that I, put on, and I slap it.
Now, if you're,
Yeah.
are you, if when you get the phone call for the Power Slap, are you going to take the persona of the professional wrestler to Power Slap?
No, because even the wrestling persona is not really a persona. If you watch me wrestle, it's just really me, just an asshole.
Right.
I would probably be just serious.
What weight class are you going to be competing in Power Slap?
175.
175, welterweight, right?
Yeah.
Who's the welterweight champ right now? He just lost his belt, right? Wasn't it the babyface guy?
Yeah, it's Cody Young.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been following the rankings in the welterweight?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Not so. I mean, it's been such a long break now, but I was right up until like that match.
Right. Yeah. What is it? March 6th is the next event here, right?
Yeah, March 6th.
Man, I'm hoping that I get the call. I'm hoping that you get the call. I want to
Yeah.
compete. Hopefully we can compete on the same card here in our hometown, Vegas.
That would be fire.
If you could go against anyone right now, is there somebody that you're like, man, I think I would be a perfect matchup for that person?
I think that I would knock any of the motherfuckers out, bro. Straight up. Like the first one is a wrap.
Right.
I already told my wife the first guy is dead because it's just pure like just will to you got to get the first one,
Right.
bro. Like so that's just how I'm thinking about it. Like I picture like cutting through like steel with my hand. I'm not try to not even imagine the face there.
Right.
It's gonna be like cutting a tree or
I
something
got you,
crazy
bro.
like that.
I got you, man. I'm so eager to compete too, man. I'm just waiting for the call. I've been, talking to Isaiah back and forth, the current middleweight champ, and
That's the weight class you're in, right?
yeah. So I'm actually, bro. I'm at a point right now where I could be middleweight or I could be welterweight. I'd only lose a few pounds and I'm right at middleweight.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I don't, and that's the thing is I don't know if I should probably just keep the weight I and compete at middleweight because they're saying it's a little bit better to take a hit.
I'm thinking about going up in weight because
Yeah.
I'm like,
Because welterweight, I definitely can make the weight. I just don't know if how that's gonna if I get hit, how that's gonna carry. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I agree. My thought process was they'd hit lighter at that, but it's also like you got less protection.
right. Are you walking around at welterweight, or would you have to cut down a little bit?
Um, it's either or. I was walking around at welterweight close to the last call. Now I'm up to about 77.
Okay.
So I'm only about 7 off.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
you're not too far.
So, but I'm also gaining weight right now. So I'm not even really concerned with that. I grew up wrestling. I could cut weight, no problem. That's easy. Yeah.
Now, do you have any homies in Power Slap right now?
Yeah, I mean, Stunt Marshall, Haley, Johnny Magna. I know all the wrestlers, Trenton. I like Trenton. I like the coaches, Brandon, Robert is my favorite.
He's a dog. Man.
I love Robert, bro. I love you, Robert.
Yeah, if you watching, bro, thank you. I mean, he was the only one out of the Power Slap Combine that actually took the time to show me how it works and give me tips and
Yeah,
tricks.
he was very good with that. Yeah, he's very giving, cool guy.
Are you still communicating with him today?
We haven't spoken in a while.
Just here and there.
Yeah.
And how
just
about
tap in?
have you been talking to Sin at all, or have you been talking to anybody from the Power Slap Corporation?
Well, I would just mostly communicate through Sin. I just wrestled for Sin at the end of the year, a show out in Pahrump, his end of the year Christmas bash, and we haven't really spoken since then. I'm just mostly focused on grinding on what I'm trying to do, and to control the controllable. That's really how I look at it.
Now, if you get booked to fight for Power Slap, are you going to continue to do both, or is there one that drives you more? Are you more compelled for Power Slap, or are you more like you're in the professional wrestling lane, or you just want to do both?
Oh, I would probably just do both. I'll probably wrestle for the rest of my life, no matter what.
And
I would probably wrestle for free, even if I was rich.
and is that something that you want to do like later? Maybe be a coach for wrestling?
Ooh, that, yeah, probably. Probably because I already help guys and I already enjoy putting matches together and giving advice, and I can see things for other people like, oh, I think it would look good if you did this or if you did that. So I'm sure naturally it will move that way. If I never made it to WWE, maybe I would be a coach there one day. You never know. So
Right.
you never know where the chips will fall.
Cool, man. Well, I look forward to seeing you compete. I'm super excited to, even know you, and I'm glad that I have you on the show.
Likewise.
I want you to leave some words for advice for the kids listening. Again, like people that maybe aren't in the best mental mind state, people that want to do better for themselves. Like, just last words. What can you leave for them?
Yeah, so the thing that I always say is don't quit. That's really just the biggest part of it. Unless it's drugs, quit those. But don't quit, because honestly, if you can just consistently stick something out, like, you're going to go somewhere. And I've learned that through wrestling, and I apply that to all the other aspects of my life. I know that through consistency and discipline, like, you will achieve where you have to go. 100%. Like, there's just no other way around it. You stick around long enough, you become the man.
That's true, man. Shit, man. Well, I appreciate it, bro.
No,
So,
thank you, man. I
cool.
appreciate it. Yeah.